news. Great news is we got some rain in the fort in last night, but
Right, and
maybe a little extreme.
it made us liars throughout the week when we said there's no rain in sight, and then suddenly the heavens open up with one heck of a storm last night. If
Boy,
you
was it.
lived in certain parts of Jackson or the Jackson area for sure, and we know that there was also pretty heavy rain to the north of us as well, from what we've got anecdotally from folks. Yet on the other hand, we've also heard not a drop of rain in Oak Hill. So
Go figure.
that's strange. So Oak Hill still with the brown grass.
Yes.
So anyway, as far as the storm last night, we've collected some quick information to tell you about it because it was for a few minutes it was pretty fierce. We had the rain, the thunder, the lightning, but then we also had some wind, kind of in isolated places. It appears that the worst of the wind hit in the early evening hours. On the northeast side of Jackson. We're talking, Wood Avenue, Kaufman Street, West Street, that neighborhood there. Not to say that other
Northview, kind of
right,
that area.
Yeah, not to say that other people didn't experience wind, but that seemed to be where the damage was, as far as trees down, big limbs down, power line issues because of where the trees and limbs came down. We've got some pictures there that we've got. From out and about, different people got it for us. Jeremiah got us a good one this morning.
Ooh,
this is as bad as it gets that we know of. That tree or a big branch of that tree right down on the top of that house, that is on Wood Avenue in Jackson, in that neighborhood we talked about. And, that was this morning. The sky is blue, but, it wasn't last night.
Sure.
A couple of other places where we had some large trees or limbs down. That, if you take a good look, a lot of folks will recognize that. That is the big house at the corner of Huron Street and Vaughn Street. Yep. People pass that all the way, when they're going up High School Hill.
The dreaded High School Hill.
Right, and we remember a large tree came down on that property there on that side of the house. Maybe last fall. Or something, or maybe in the spring. It hadn't been that long. And there is another tree down in about that same area.
Interesting.
And so, that was on the south side of town. But as the crow flies, probably no more than a mile from where we had that other damage. Mm-hmm. We had another picture there. That is a picture from a distance a little bit for a little perspective. That is a tree that came down at the corner of Wood and Kaufman last night, and that caused in that area a little bit of problem with a power line that came down. With the Jackson Fire Department was on the scene. That was at 6:15 p.m. last night when that happened. There is another view of the same tree from another angle and a little closer. You can see electric crewmen there in the background
Bless their hearts once again,
trying to restore electric service and getting those potentially dangerous down power lines back where they belong. This morning, this was a little disjointed as far as the time, but at about 5:10 a.m. this morning, the fire department and I presume the electric boys were out again, and this was across the street from Cardo's, Portsmouth and West Street. A tree came down on a transformer and or a branch, not sure which, but it knocked out power for sure to some of the neighboring residences there. I don't know if everything's been restored. The way our electric crew works, I'm saying they probably did. That was very early this morning at 5:10 a.m. when the fire department was out on that. We know that there was a heavy rain to the north of us as well. Maybe not as much wind. We haven't heard about wind damage reports to the north. Doesn't mean there weren't any. We talked to some other people who were to the north, Benton County and Athens, rain up that way. But we also heard comments on Facebook when we, just trolled for some information from out and about on how the storm affected their area. None really. Very far south of Jackson, the Oak Hill area.
It's so sporadic, so odd.
It is. They call them pop-up showers. This was a pop-up storm, and I was driving between Jackson and Wellston at about 5:15 p.m. At that time, when I left Jackson, there was no rain. It was dark, but I wasn't even going to say it was going to rain necessarily since it hadn't. But then about halfway to Wellston, it just all cut loose.
Yep.
And when I came back to Jackson about an hour later, I could see that it rained very hard there as
Yep.
well.
We had a beautiful rain shower at our house. I was so happy. It was awesome.
Well, obviously, on that part of it, lawns and
We need it.
greenery, shrubs, trees definitely could have used the rain for sure. So we will be following up on that and making sure there wasn't any major property damage. We
Yeah.
haven't heard of any. We've heard one place, business, where there might have been some roof damage, unconfirmed there. But we'll be checking that out as well. And folks have some information, you know, they're feel free to contact us directly or through social media or whatever, and we will compile as much information as we can about that. All right, a sad note in the news, and Jennifer, you've been around not as long as me, but you've been around a while, so we know about the dedication to township government of Roy Arthur Sr.
Mhm.
He passed away on
Aw.
Tuesday after kind of a period of failing health. He was 83 years
Hmm.
old, a nice man, a gentleman all the way. And I tell you what, being in the news since, you know, the 70s, covering news here, I tell you what, his dedication, commitment to township government,
Yep.
to being part of it. He was a township trustee in Bloomfield Township for 36 years. That's newsworthy in and of itself.
Yeah, right.
But what set him apart was the work he did on an organizational level with the group called the Jackson County Township Trustees and Clerks Association. It's now called the Jackson County Township Trustees and Fiscal Officers Association, but it's the same group. And it was a confederation of township officials, because you know you have trustees and you have fiscal officers, used to be called clerks. He had annual banquets. They were big affairs. He did a great job getting people involved in township government, knowledgeable of township government, and respecting what township government does, and having township government work with other governmental entities,
Yes.
like, you know, the county and municipal levels and even the state level. He was a big advocate for the townships, brought more attention to the townships than I'm sure about any township official possibly could. If you live in the township, you know the name of the township, and you know they're responsible for the roads and all that, and
Yep.
the cemeteries. But beyond that, you probably don't. I'm guessing that 5% of the people, no more than 5% of the people, could name the 12 townships in Jackson County, for instance.
I know you put me on the spot one time.
Well, you did pretty good. You were above the you were above the median in that for sure.
It's from covering elections so much.
Right, I know. But anyway, he was the main reason that they celebrate Ohio Township Day in Jackson. It's a statewide thing, but he made sure that the county commissioners proclaimed it. He had all the township officials in for a big picture. The other political officials and governmental officials made sure they went there because, you know, they saw that it was important to Roy and it was a good connection
Yes.
type thing. We will never forget his catchphrase, working together where it counts.
Love
And he
that.
would do awards at these big banquets he had, because it wasn't just for the township officials, it was a coming together of other public officials and people with a direct or indirect interest in township government. And he had the biggest table of door prizes you would ever see. If you left that place without a cap or a quart of motor oil, I don't know how you could do that. But he made sure to honor people too who helped him along the way. He was gracious about that. He lobbied and was an advocate for township government, but he was also very gentlemanly about it as well. When he finally retired, and this was declining health that forced this in 2021. In 2022, when Ohio Township Day came around, it's usually February the 1st, I think, they declared that the commissioners did Roy Arthur Day in Jackson County, and I know that had to make him proud and had to make him. He was a very humble man anyway, but I know it made him very, very proud and touched to do that. I was glad that the commissioners thought to do that,
Sure.
and anybody involved in government and public life in Jackson County knew about Roy Arthur's dedication to township government. And, you know, it went past far beyond what the ordinary effort would be. As a matter of fact, Jackson County, one of the lightly populated counties in the state, right? We have 88 counties.
Yep.
Well, the Ohio Township Association is the statewide association for township officials. They had, they urged their members to sell local memberships in their respective counties.
Mm-hmm.
And that supported the Township Association and also was a token gesture of support for townships. Well, year in and year out, he would sell more association memberships than anybody in the doggone state of Ohio. As a matter of fact,
That's awesome.
I am told that his record of selling 543 memberships in 1 year still stands as a record statewide. So, I mean, this
That's
was
awesome.
an amazing record of dedication over decades
Yep.
for Roy Arthur Sr. And he deserves, what we are talking about on television, what will be on the radio, and what will be in the newspaper on Saturday. But passed away Tuesday at Four Winds Community Nursing Home. The calling hours will be Saturday afternoon and evening at the McWilliams Funeral Home in Wellston from 2 to 8. The funeral will be 1 p.m. On Sunday at McWilliams Funeral Home. And John Hensler, who is a county commissioner but also a pastor at the Trinity Chapel
Sure.
here in Jackson, he knew very well of his dedication, and he is going to officiate the service. So
Cool.
I know that for all the folks who didn't know what Roy Arthur did for township government, it wasn't just his own township in Bloomfield Township. It was throughout the county and throughout the state even.
Yep.
May he rest in peace. He certainly never stopped working for the townships. All right, a couple other things to tell you here as we're running out of time just a little bit here. But we want to remind you that street paving work is going on in Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're out on some of the streets that were announced earlier in the week. One of the streets that they're already on is High Street.
Yes.
The part of High Street, here it is. This was actual work near the High Street, State Street intersection.
Mm-hmm.
But High Street all the way from South Street down to West Main Street. That is the main residential street in Jackson. That's not the only one. They're going to be doing 6 or 7 different streets or sections of streets and also a couple main alleys in town during the next 2-week period. So if you see those signs posted out there on no parking, don't put your car out along the curb or
Don't
whatever,
do it.
because they gotta pave.
It may magically disappear.
All right, absolutely, that may happen. All right, a couple other things to tell you. The heat, it dropped about 20 degrees during that storm.
It was
That
so
was
good.
that was another
It
good
was so
thing.
nice.
But we had some. We don't have this happen very often. We have athletic contests move back
Mm-hmm.
in time because of the heat. For instance,
Sure.
3 of our 4 football games this Friday night are already going to be at 8 o'clock. Vinton County right now is 7 o'clock, unless they changed their mind and had a decision this morning. And I understand
Okay.
they're still
Thinking about
discussing
it.
that,
Okay.
right? But 4 football games in our local area: Jackson, Wellston, Oak Hill, and Vinton County. All those teams are home. 3 of the 4, Jackson, Wellston, and Oak Hill, have already decided to have kickoff at 8 p.m.
Okay.
And also, I believe a tennis match and some golf matches got canceled last night.
Okay.
Either canceled or
It's-
postponed.
I think last night was one of the worst. Like, we were outside doing some stuff, and I'm like, man, this is ridiculous. It was awful until that rain came.
Well, if you have to be outside for a very long time, it's certainly difficult.
Yeah. Be very, very careful.
Right. And then one other thing we want to tell you: we always want to drop in some sports every now and then. We'll talk maybe a little bit more about what we got coming up on football tomorrow. But the Jackson girls soccer team, which won the league last year under
Mhm.
Coach Karina Ray, they lost some really good players to graduation, but they had a very good victory last Saturday. They defeated Circleville 3-1 up at Alumni Stadium. And the reason I'm bringing that up, it's worth mentioning, but it's especially worth mentioning because one player, Lillian Mapes, she is a sophomore on
Mhm.
that team. She also plays basketball. She scored all 3 goals for
Oh,
Jackson.
wow.
There she is in action. It's
You go,
called
girl.
it's called the hat trick. They use that phrase in several sports when you score 3 goals. And soccer is and soccer tends to be low scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Someone gets ahead and then I'm going to keep the other team from scoring and win 1-0. Well, this was 3-1, and that's Lillian right there in the red, of course, for Jackson. She scored all 3 of her team's goals, so congratulations to her. When we have some great athletic victories or whatever by our local teams and individual accomplishments, we'll try to make time to mention them here on Main Street
Sure.
TV.
Love that. That well deserved.
Right, and As far as I know, we don't have any rain coming till Saturday.
We will see. Throw that up there real quick. Let's see what it says. Our weather forecast. Little percentage of chance, and again, but look at next week. If we can just make it through today and tomorrow, it looks like should be gorgeous there for the Ohio Hill Country Festival, and I'll take high 80s or 70s any day.
Right, absolutely. Well, it will feel like Canada.
It will be like fall. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you might have to put a windbreaker on.
Put your jacket on.
It's going to be 78. It's down to 78.
You're right. All right. Well, Pete, thank you so much for coming in. Don't forget, the Ohio Hill Country Festival does take the streets of downtown Wellston next week, starting on Wednesday, and they have a whole great lineup for you. So make plans to attend that.
Right. And I tell you what, let's give props to our man Adrian. He knew behind the scenes operating the camera.
Yep.
And putting up the pictures. He's a rookie, but he's doing a great
job.
He's doing a great job over
doing
there.
all the stuff and things.
Absolutely.
All right.
Dylan taught him well.
That's right. Well, have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll be back here tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
From breaking news to heartwarming stories, the Telegram is your ticket to the latest buzz in town.
Read your daily dose of local headlines, sports, and entertainment and more in hand and on paper.
Get a print and digital subscription for only $7.95 per month. Delivered fresh every Wednesday and Saturday.
Visit thetelegramnews.com or call 740-286-3023 today.
Don't just read the news, be a part of it.